Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, where it's always exciting to talk with Running with Ed. It's that time of year already, can you believe it? And that is why Jen Billow is here in studio, and she brought with her Danny Fisher. Danny is an educator at the high school in technology, and I'm thrilled to have him here as well. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thanks, Joe.
I love the technology side of things. I remember when presented with the requirement for science classes. Well, what was I going to take? And at my high school, there wasn't a lot. There was, the traditional, geology and chemistry and things as far as sciences. My favorite was always going to be physics, and that got close as in the 80s that we got to science and technology. Mm-hmm. But now, it is a forefront of what kids are learning in that area, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, technology is it's working its way throughout all subject areas in schools.
It has to, because that is the world that we live in. We're no longer in that giant manufacturing world, so to speak, that we were in our era, where we've changed gears quite a little bit, and it's all about computers and tech and how we can make smaller memory devices and things. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It is. It's hard as an educator to be on the forefront of that and
I bet.
Stay caught up with it. So.
You're reading a lot of magazines, are you?
Yeah, oh yes. Magazines, blogs, emails.
Yeah, magazines
See, I'm thinking magazines old.
Joe. Yeah.
I wasn't going to do it to him.
Jen has no problem doing that, but Jen wears glasses, so
yeah. Well, so do you. Totally.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, and what Danny does too is actually, we think of technology and you're thinking, maybe computers, and of course in Park City School District, in 6th grade, every student gets a laptop, which is pretty stunning.
It is amazing.
What Danny actually works on, he has 2 areas, and he can talk about them a little more, but he's the director for the Consumer and Technical Education, which is sort of that whole tech pathways, 6th through 12th, and then he's also director of
PCCAPS,
PCCAPS, yeah.
Correct.
And that is a whole, it's project real world based learning. So businesses come in, and we were just talking to Chris about, maybe we can do something with PCTV, with actual projects, and then the students have to fulfill these assignments.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Let's bring the best ones on here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and when you mention technology is so different nowadays, because we're fortunate enough to have PCEF to help us be as agile as we need to be to work with industry partners. So we've been able to get 3D printers. So we're not just...
Is that right?
Yeah, so 3D printers. We have a CNC machine we're looking to bring on, which is subtractive versus additive with the 3D printers. And the computer needs change from partner to partner, or business partner to business partner. We may need one software for them and another for another. So we're just really fortunate to have PCEF there to help us fund that agility, if you will, because without it, it would be very difficult for us to do that with traditional educational funding.
Well, and there's a call from the business world, especially here in Park City even, where we've got several big businesses that are involved in tech and want to see students coming out of school right here locally that they can bring on board.
Right.
That's happening. I think people don't realize that, but you might have a teenager at home who in 2 years might be working at a big tech company right here.
Right here, yeah. In fact, there are several high school grads, I think at Skull Candy. I mean, they're also college grads, but they're from here, and some other companies. But the projects these kids are working on, the companies need these projects done, and education funding, you get a budget and it's for the whole next year, and you can't change within that. So if they get a project and they need a certain software to design a new logo for a company, for instance, then they ask us for that funding so we can be more nimble.
Wow.
So it's very exciting, and some of the students were just featured at was it a STEM conference down at the
Yeah, it
district?
was. It was the STEM at the Capitol event, where multiple people in the world of STEM were down at the Capitol to let our state representatives know how important it is to fund and support STEM in education. And so we were there, and we had 3 of our students who were able to show a project they had done where they designed and created mock-ups of the STEM Action Bus. There's the STEM Action Center of Salt Lake was able to get 2 buses donated from the UTA. They had already designed and are building one, and then our students that are shown here on the TV right now had the opportunity to design the second one and present that and share that. So
yeah, these are buses that will actually have that tech, some of those things in them that will be able to be presented in many different places for the next gen of kids coming up, right?
Yeah.
That's really cool. So
Yep.
we want to get them invested early and see what their contemporaries are doing.
Well, and you need to, and it kind of brings into one of the roles that I have is creating some vertical alignment and coherence from course to course to course throughout the school district in career and technical education. And that is also important because as we try to prepare students to be as agile and nimble as they need to be in PCCAPS, we need to be supporting that in the lower grades as well.
How can parents be more involved in that? I think that's an important consideration too.
That's a good question. I think that coming to some of our open houses that we have, so for instance, on the 15th, on Wednesday, we have a PCCAPS parent night. Whether your kid is of age to be coming to PCCAPS or not, I think it's worth coming there because it's important that these students start to focus in their courses and are heading down a pathway, if you will, towards the experiences they want to have to prepare them for college and career.
Well, and to answer your question too, one of the fantastic pieces of PCCAPS are the mentors. So there are all kinds of mentors from the community. So there are the professional teachers who kind of teach the background, whether it's the marketing, design, engineering. But then when the kids get the project, they have mentors. So for instance, if there's an engineering project that Skull Candy wants done, there are often mentors from Skull Candy helping the kids with those projects.
Wow.
And there are many parents, I believe, involved as mentors that are in businesses locally and in the Wasatch Front. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so definitely encouraging more of the parents that are involved in that kind of stuff that they can bring their employer to the table too. That's exciting.
Well, we have such an amazing community here in Park City that whether they be business partners looking to provide a project for our students to do, or it be to mentor, there's a lot of ways to reach out to us. So.
Well, I'll say that is excellent. I was just thinking about my own, it's hard not to think about your own life and how your kids are affected by these things too, but I was thinking about my son who of course has been just enthralled with video games for the last few years, as you can imagine, and as now we're turning the corner and trying to redirect that energy towards programming and getting into that area as well, coding, what have you. That is another area that you guys see a lot of focus in, isn't it?
There is, yeah, and so we've got an initiative now that's got coding happening from K to I believe 7th grade.
It's awesome.
And then the programs we're building at the high school to kind of carry that forward as well. We've had a great teacher over the last few years, Kelly Henderson, who's really looked to grow that software development and programming pathway.
She's amazing. We're funding the coding initiative, as a matter of fact. So that is something that the district would have no money for these specific coding teachers in the elementary schools or coding projects. We funded ArduSats, for instance, which are these little programmable coding robots, and the 7th graders are coding experiments to happen in satellites in space.
Wow.
So that is part of what we fund as well.
Well, it's a pretty terrific one. I know I'm excited about it too because, when you need to direct that energy to something fun and exciting and to start it early. I mean, to be able to come out of high school ready to start writing program or even doing it while you're in school, which we see a lot of kids doing, writing their own apps, getting things out there that early.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
It's exciting, and I'm glad you bring up the early part too, because one of the other things I wanted to talk about today, and this is sort of
the preschool stuff.
The preschool, both registration for preschool and then soon for PCCAPS are ongoing, in kindergarten and dual immersion, all these programs. Registration is happening now, but preschool is one of our biggest programs that we support. So, for instance, the district there's preschool programs for 3 and 4-year-olds at all the elementary schools here. And the district gets no money from the state for preschool students, so you often hear about, Utah's the lowest funded, but at least we do get money per student. There is none for preschool, so the district has to fully fund that, and we actually fund over half of the costs of preschool, over $100,000. Right. So any family can attend. It covers their tuition on a sliding scale. So whether you can afford a little, if you can afford none, we cover that tuition.
So there's an opportunity for preschool for everybody, it sounds like.
Yes, for everybody. Although it does fill up quickly, it's not unlimited. So we have 200 slots, 3 and 4-year-olds. There's all-day preschool at 2 of the elementaries. And the studies about preschool, of all the programs we support, it probably is the most critical because it gets the students off to the right start by kindergarten. They're all on a level playing field, ready to learn. And just study after study after study shows that every dollar that's invested in preschool, you save $13 to the taxpayer later on in programs you don't have to fund to help the kids get caught up. It helps minimize that achievement gap we hear about a lot. So every kid is ready to learn in kindergarten. It increases high school graduation rates. It increases lifetime earned income. The studies on preschool are just they're just glowing, and they all say the same thing. So it's a really important program for us.
I think we can all be very happy that the money that has been raised with Running with Ed goes to such an important, integral part of our children's not only start, but their lifetime.
Absolutely.
We have just a moment left, so tell me all about Running with Ed. We're getting close already. I can hardly believe that this is happening. We still have snow on the ground. Come on, Jen.
You know what? But I see people, they're running in the snow.
That's right.
Yes, Running with Ed. In fact, at the high school, I already had the CTE department at the high school already has a 10-person team.
Wow.
So they're ready to go. It's May 20th. This Friday is the deadline for the VIP registration. So if that team captain wants the shoes, if you want the discounted price, the entry into a free Running with Ed team next year, got to register by this Friday.
Okay.
You know you're going to do it. Don't wait for your teammates. Just register.
Yeah, get it done.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those guys that just know, or girls that just knows you can put a team together, get on it right now and then do that.
And then do that. Yeah, you don't have to have your whole team, and you just go to runningwithed.com to register PCEF4 kids to learn about our programs.
All right. I want to thank you both very much for being here. It's just fun to talk about such important topics as our children's education. And really, at the end of the day, it's really about you and me, because those children are the future leaders of this country, and they're going to be bringing the tech and everything that comes with it to us to make our lives better. So we better get on it right now together to make that happen. We've got a lot more happening here on the Mountain Morning Show as we wrap up this hour and this day right after this.